sometimes, and I don't actually come to know about it. So just give me a call immediately when
Not
I
to
lose
worry,
connection.
just
Yeah.
relax and start, okay?
ठीक है चलो okay. So till where we did yesterday, I think you are able to see my screen now, right?
Yes.
So this is the slide which we discussed yesterday, and then I lost the connection, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm going to the next slide. So basically, I just give you, just quick recap of what was there in this slide. So in this slide, we obviously discussed about Geoffrey Chaucer, where he was born, what all he did in his school, and whom he was married to, how he got in connection with Edward the King III, and what was the first book he wrote, and obviously about his connections to the court and all. So now moving on, just like everyone else, like in our lives also, we have some ups and downs. So even Chaucer has some ups and downs in his life also. So ups, I think I have already covered ups. So the ups were like, we have already seen that how he was sent to Italy on diplomatic missions because he was considered as a fine ambassador to negotiate with the leaders of other countries, and he was very much influenced by the Italian culture and early Renaissance. As we know that Renaissance had its early beginnings in Italy, so it came into Italy first, and then it spread to Europe and England. And we will also look about the influence of these two poets, and additionally Dante, on his writings, when we will discuss about the questions, like one question which I've prepared about the sources of vocabulary from which Chaucer was inspired. So then we will discuss it in detail. And Yeah, so he had also many royal favors. We see that he was also recipient of many royal favors, and it is said that he even sat at Parliament as Knight of the Shire in Kent in the year 1386. So moving on, so these were two ups in his life, that he was actually doing good in his life. His entire life was quite good. Like he enjoyed, the money coming up, and he starting also he belonged to a wealthy family, so he doesn't have any as such problem of money in those days. Because I'm saying this because in that age, money was a huge problem. People were very poor, very very poor. So they were not even afford, they can't even afford three times of meal. They were just eating one meal in a day. So that's how Chaucer life was. He was a good person. He belonged to a wealthy family. So let's look at some of the downs. So downward in Chaucer life came because obviously the court where he was and the patrons which whom he have had their downwards. So it affected Chaucer's life as well. So there was a brief time when his life went through a major crisis. That was a period when House of Lancastrians were overthrown from power. Obviously, because if they are overthrown, then his patron was also overthrown, and he has no other mode of getting money. So now, if you want to know in detail about the House of Lancastrians, so I have added one video here. You can just go to YouTube also and type like Overthrown of Lancastrians or the War of Roses or something like that, and you will get some details if you like to. It's an additional information. It's not necessary to go and look into it, but if you want to, you can look at it. This. Um, Now, at that time, I just said like, now at that time when the House of Lancastrians were overthrown, John of Gaunt, who is also Chaucer's brother-in-law. So now how John of Gaunt became Chaucer's brother-in-law, because he married, John of Gaunt married Catherine, and Catherine is Chaucer's wife, sister. So yeah, John of Gaunt's wife and Chaucer's wife are both sisters. So that is how they became brother-in-law. And he was also patron of Chaucer that time, and was banished from the court for a brief period. And that time Chaucer fell into poverty. But we find Lancastrian coming back to power with the accession of Henry IV, who also happens to be one of John Gaunt's son. And with that, Chaucer started getting a very generous grant of royal pension and looked forward to a very comfortable life. He was even granted a free residence above Elgard, but he dies within a year after the accession of Henry IV. So this is a very brief summary of Chaucer's life and how his life is connected with the social and political turns of event. And one more important point, which I think I forgot to add on the slides, is that he was buried in Westminster Abbey, a very prestigious place. And obviously, we know that this place is known as Poets' Corner now. And after Chaucer was the first poet who got buried here, and after that, all the poets who preceded him, who followed him, got buried there as well. And it's a very favorite site of tourists as well these days. So yeah, because yeah, he dies within a year in 1400 after that. So now, because I was talking about life and Chaucer's life, I thought it will be, somehow I believe, like, for some reason I feel that understanding of medieval age is quite important when we are studying a poet who was so well known in that particular period. For this, I have added a video here which you will be able to play when I will share this presentation with all of you. But again, this is an additional information. Like, I find it quite interesting to know about a poet's life and the era where the poet was born. If you're not interested, you can just skip this part. It's not going to impact your studies in any way, just for your information. Okay, next couple of slides, I have put some screenshots here which I took from YouTube, and I find these screenshots really good. It's about Chaucer's contemporaries, from starting from 1320 to, I think, to 1627. These are the names. And we know John Wycliffe, who was, who translated Bible into English, and then Geoffrey Chaucer's famous works and all. So just go through it, read it. It's quite self-explanatory. Who are the authors, what are the time durations, and what are the works they did. So it's very self-explanatory slides. I'm not gonna put a lot of time on this. Then I come to sources of Chaucer's vocabulary. So yeah, I said, actually you guys will feel why I'm so obsessed with sources of Chaucer's vocabulary. But I really like this subject of how he got influenced and how he started writing. Because as a fun fact, if you see, Chaucer was not a poet. He was not earning from his poetry. He was earning as a courtier. He was a soldier. It was not. He was not a poet at all. After all, these books like Canterbury Tales got published after he was dead. Like, he didn't even see all these things. So like today's date, like if I write a book, I will get a lot of money out of that. But that was not the case of Chaucer. So I was yeah, so I have put like three: Latin, French, and Italian, the names of the authors also, from whom he was influenced. Again, we will see this in detail later. So now, if again I have given a lot of options, like people who want to do detailed study, more detailed study, they can go and click on this link again here, and it will take you to my one of my PDF, and it's about Age of Chaucer. So moving on. Okay, so next is Canterbury Tales. So Canterbury Tales, as we all know, is one of the most famous work of Geoffrey Chaucer, which he wrote around 1386 to 1395 in England after he got retired, or maybe he was thinking of getting retired. So that time he started writing it. It was first published around 1598, as far as I know, because it got published in that year after the Caxton printing press was invented. So that's how it got printed, because otherwise it was all handwritten. And these are some themes, motives, and symbols of all these things. I'm not going to go in all the details, because I have also shared PDF of like lit chart and all in the next slide, which you can go through by your own. So yeah. So this is the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. So prologue, pilgrimage. As winters are now over, people plans to go on a pilgrimage, especially Canterbury Cathedral, where the relics of Thomas Becket are kept. Now, I don't know how many of you have already done murder in the cathedral, which is part of our Meg 2 course. So in that drama or play, I say, you will find talking about murder of same Saint Becket, which is referred here, Thomas Becket. So it's the same saint which we are talking in Mother in the Cathedral also. It's a good reference when you are writing about, prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Please put this reference about murder in the Cathedral, that it's talking about the same saint. So it just shows that, you have connected your course, and you have that kind of knowledge in it. So it will be a good reference, I think. And there are total 29 pilgrims, and these 29 pilgrims are excluding Chaucer and the host. So this question, I think, was asked in the exam, that how many pilgrims were there in Canterbury Tales. So the options were 29 or 30. So this is the correct answer. If you say, it will be 31, because 29 are excluding Chaucer and the host. If you will add them, then it will become 31. And yeah, of course, they all London, Chaucer decides to join their group. The form of the general prologue is an estate satire, of course, because here he's talking about the characters from each of the medieval estates, which is church, nobility, and peasantry, with various levels of mockery. Obviously, he had some humorous level in this as well. After that, he introduces and describes the host, and the host is the person who suggests that everyone should tell two stories in the way there and two on the way back, and he will be the judge, and the best person's story will receive a free meal at the inn when they return. Everyone agrees, and the knight starts telling his story and everyone else follows. So obviously this is the unfinished work, otherwise we poor guys would have been studying I don't know how many stories. So lucky us. So jokes apart. Okay, so if you want to obviously go, and because this is just a summary, brief summary, please go on to the lit chart and spark notes and course zero, wherever, whatever I could find on the internet, proper about Geoffrey Chaucer and Canterbury Tales I have added here. Please click on it and go through all of it, because this is just a summary. This is not at all enough for the exams. This is just a summary. So yes, I'm just checking if my connection is still there. Okay, I'm still there. Good. So this is, yes, this slide I have added how to attempt a reference to context. So this guys I have done this slide according to my understanding. So if I have missed any point, please stop me there and just let me know, because I will also note down that I have missed something and I will put it here. So it goes like reference. So reference is like just state from which poem the lines are taken and the name of the poet, of course. You can briefly add, with the poem, you can add the year of publish, or the year when it was written and the year when it was published, and the name of the poet. With the name of the poet, you can add poet's date of birth, when he was born and when he was died. So like in Chaucer's case, it will be like 1343 to 1372 or 74, something like that. And then in the context state in brief the poet's reason or circumstances in which he is writing the poem. Like in Chaucer's case, he's writing because he just met some group of people and he went through all these pilgrimage and he was interested in showing, and he was supposedly influenced by Decimeron's book. I forgot the name of the book, but he was influenced by Decimeron, some book. So please look up into that. And next comes the explanation. Explain the given lines and state how these lines refer back or forth in the poem. Like this will not always happen that it will obviously refer back and forth in the poem, but just see if the lines make sense to you, and if you think that the same thing will happen earlier in the poem or later in the poem, then you just mention it. If you don't even remember the line, just mention that poet has also talked about these things in coming lines or in before in the poem. Just state that. So it will help the examiner to understand that you know the poem really well. You have just not writing anything, you just know things by your heart. Okay, and then next is analysis. So analysis, I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here. Maybe you will see that all the poems will not have all these 5 points, but just try. If they have, you put it. If they don't have, you don't worry about it, because an examiner will also understand that nothing is there and related to all these things. So just don't bother about अगर नहीं मिल रहा है कि कहाँ से ढूंढना है, just leave it. So, state how did you feel when you read these lines. Support your views by providing reasons of other writers and critics. Like if I feel something that Canterbury, like John Donne says, it's plenty of God's plenty, something like that. He said, "Here is God's plenty." Yeah, he said that. So if you also feel here is God's plenty, and if you agree with that statement, you put your views here, and then you support it by providing, okay, John Dryden also said this and I agree with it, or something like that. State the rhyming scheme, of course, state the poetic devices used in the given lines, compare the given lines with any other poet's work or any other work from the same poet. So in this case, you can compare, of course, you can compare this poem Canterbury Tales to the inspirations from which Chaucer has written it. Like he was inspired by Italian writers Petrarch, Boccaccio, and Dante, and he must have bought the knight character, he got it from somewhere, and then a square character, he got it from somewhere. So you give those references that he was in that poem these lines are there, and it depicts the same way how Chaucer has written here. state how the poem is linked to poet's life, of course, which is the historical and literary context of the poem. And so, as per my experience in the poems which I have done, I see that somehow every time it will not relate to the poet's life. So, like, I give you example of this poem, Good Morrow. So in Good Morrow, the poet is writing about good morrow, and he's saying that I and my beloved are, staying in a room, and we don't care about the other world. And if you see, in the same time in the world, there was so much going on. There were new discoveries which were happening. So this poem is not related to the literary context or historical context. Poet is writing on his own views. He is in on his own world only. He doesn't care what is happening outside. So this is a strong point which we can make. Like, he's not bothered about what is going in the present. He just wants to be his lover, with his lover in one same room. So this is one thing I remember right now, which I've shared with you. So okay, click here to open sample RTC. Acha, if you guys want me to open the sample RTC and discuss it here, you tell me. Otherwise, I skip it and I go to the last slide, which is how to attempt an essay type questions. Or I have added it. You can see it on your own. Just let me know.
See if you can open this sample RTC, it will be easier.
Okay, so this is the RTC which I have written, or I have collected points from several places and I have accumulated at one place. I will share this with you. Sorry, hello? Is anyone saying anything?
We can't see it, Deepti.
Actually,
You
the
can't see
RTC is not visible.
the.
Deepti, on the screen, is there something which shows to present that particular screen? Then you press that button.
Okay, wait. Yeah. ओके पीडीएफ में तो ऐसा कुछ मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है बट आई डोंट नो हाउ टू प्रेजेंट इट टैब करके करती हूँ शायद जस्ट वेट ऑल्ट टैब इज इट विजिबल नाउ
No.
no so I don't even see any option of presenting
This
it.
RTC which is opening, is it a PPT file?
It's a PDF.
PDF. Okay.
So video call when you're ready. No, this I just getting one. This you are presenting to everyone while a notification. Uh,
Complete the
okay, okay,
slide.
okay. Let's do one thing. You are able to see my PPT, right?
Right.
Okay, so I do one thing. I disconnect my PPT and I again connect the PDF now. Okay. Let
Okay.
me try and do that. Maybe because it's showing one screen only at a time. It's an old laptop. So I just stop presenting and then again do it. Hello?
It's
Yeah, we can
visible.
Is
see
it
it. We
It's
can see.
visible.
is it okay? So it worked, yeah. So okay, so this is the RTC which I've written. I think these are the first few lines of the RTC. So I am not going to read it line to line. I will just tell you the same thing which I've written in the PPTs. What is the reference? What is the context? I will share the PDF with you, so don't worry about copying down the content. I will share it. So reference, context, then explanation. So I have written this, RTC when I just started writing RTCs. Now maybe if I will revisit these RTCs, I will write in some different way because of the knowledge I have gained in these times. But I think this is also not bad, which we can go through it. So this is the reference, this is the context, this is the explanation, these are the opening lines, and I just explained briefly that what is going on, going in the lines. Then these are some of the screenshots of my handwritten notes, and this from this screenshot, like this one, it becomes the analysis. So these are the analysis where I have, you see, I have mentioned like writers like Virgil, Dante, and Homer. He was, because he started the narrative following the tradition set by the Greek and Roman epic writers, which I have mentioned in the very starting. So these are very good points. The classical authors at Chaucer, okay, Nietzsche. then I talk about all these things which he's talking about, singing omus. So because in a traditional they this is how they start, and how Chaucer has started. He started by evoking the nature. He's talking about the nature. He's talking about the spring. So he's talking about like what all he has talked about, what are the pilgrimages and all those things. uh, then I have compared Homer's Iliad also here to that, and then personification and dream allegory, what are the literary devices used in this. And then I have given literary literary context here. So I have written Chaucer himself was a member of this middle class, and the Canterbury Tales both depict and satirize the conventions of these turbulent times. It depicts, it is about that time only. It is nothing about it. It is about that time. So this is the book I was talking about, Boccaccio Decimeron, from which it is to be believed that yes, he has taken some influence and he wrote about these stories, because those tales are also about the pilgrims going traveling around Florence as they try to avoid the Black Plague. Nearly every great poet writing in English is influenced by Chaucer. So this is the RTC. So I just go back to my slide. Uh, so I just stop presenting again. Okay, it's visible now. My PPT is visible now. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
visible.
Okay. So the last slide is about how to attempt an essay type question. So this is basically what I have done. I just basically divide my answer into three parts, which is introduction, body of the answer, and conclusion. That's it I do, because then otherwise it's a lot of confusion. So I have given two answers here, which is comic vision and sources of vocabulary. So again, I disconnect my PPT and I connect the PDFs. So let me open them first. And sources of vocabulary also. Come on. Comic vision खुल गया. Sources of vocabulary. Okay. Okay, so disconnect again. Okay, so this is a write an essay on Chaucer's comic vision in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. So again, how I have written this, I have, because comic vision, we are talking about comic vision, so I've given a brief introduction about humor. What is the humor actually? What does it mean? And then I have written some, few lines about Chaucer's work, the Canterbury Tales, that he was father of English poetry, represented versatility and greatness as a poet. So this, and then Chaucer and humor. Then I started the this is the introduction, this is the brief introduction. These two paragraphs can go into introduction, then comes the body of the answer. So this body will continue till here, Chaucer and humor, till I start the conclusion. So this is the conclusion. See, so this is the one I have collected from ample sources. Like this answer, I have not written it from one place, but I have taken, collected in bits and pieces, and I've put it in one place. So yeah, it talks about a lot of good things, like what AC Bog writes about Chaucer humor, what RK Root says about the humor. What is the view of Walter Raleigh about Chaucer, that his joy is chronic and irresponsible. So and then what is Chaucer's broad vision about all these things. Then I have given, if I have written something, then I've supported it with some comments from the critics, or some critics or poets, whatever in the case. It may differ according to the cases. So that's how I go about it. And then the conclusion, that what I feel, that portraits, how are the portraits, obviously it's a, vision is comic, somewhere it's comic, but it is, disguised in irony and satire. The entire prologue is a comical, but now he has very nicely disguised the humor in the shape of irony and satire, which is a very good thing. So you have to go and read the entire answer and you will understand. And if in case you write a better answer than this, please share it with me also. So yeah, so next one is sources of vocabulary. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so obviously I've spoke a lot about sources of vocabulary. Obviously, the three sources, again, I've given the description, the three sources for which Chaucer borrowed his vocabulary are Latin, French, and Italian. And these borrowings helped to a great extent in shifting from courtly culture to abstract intellectual issues, and also introducing new idea and freshness and realistic in Chaucer is considered as a master. Then I've talked about the Latin influence, which is which ranges from Virgil to Livy and Augustine. Then two Roman texts which are believed to be of great influence of Chaucer are Boethius' Consolation of Philosophy, which he actually translated in English, and a short text by the 5th century writer Maccabeus called some very difficult name which I am not pronouncing right now. So yeah, and then other medieval Latin writers whom Chaucer absorbed include other writers, matlab, not very important, but other writers you mentioned. Then influence of Italian, of course. Then these are the poets, and then we talk about familiar with Italian literature in 1360s and 1370s, of course, when he was traveling on a diplomatic missions to Italy, and then there he somewhere he met, I think, Petrarch. Also, I am not sure. I written it somewhere, but it's not here. I think he became, yeah. No, okay. It was someone else. Okay. So Dante is there, Petrarch is there, and Boccaccio is there, whom he met. And he got influenced by Italian writings a lot that time, which led us to um from where he derived the story that became the Clerk's Tale. So from Petrarch, he derived the story that became the Clerk's Tale, as well as host to many other details that turn up. From Boccaccio, he adapted the Italian poem Tessida, turning it into the basis of the Knight's Tale, and a narrative Philostrato, which was the main source of Chaucer's Troilus and Cresside. It is striking how the Chaucer does not seem to be familiar. So this is I have written here because this is a debatable argument that was he influenced by Boccaccio, the Decimeron, or not? Because it is believed that he read that. Obviously, it was a very famous work, and he obviously read that work. So there are, a lot of discussion or a lot of debate going on this topic. So I've written. It's striking, however, that Chaucer does not seem to be familiar with this, but it is actually based on that thing only. Then I've written some points about contribution to poetry, how these sources contributed to Chaucer's poetry. And then yes, then I'm just going towards finishing the answer, and I'm just trying to finish it up, and this is all I think. So then again, I've written. So this is comic vision. I've written very, very important. I don't know why they are all. So then I've written like about the characters, how these characters still exist in us in today's life, because it's written in the 14th century, but we still are able to relate to his work. So it's such a beautiful work that it will get related, I think, in every century, and every person can relate to some of the characters of it, not every, if not everyone. Okay, so this was all from my side, and this brings us to the end of my presentation. And I will share the Google Drive link with all of you, where I will put, I just show you. I will put this, I don't know where is it. Okay, this kind of folder I will put it here. It's written Chaucer here. This folder you will get it. Then just don't remove any file from that folder, because if you will remove now, the hyperlinks will not work. So the way I will share it with you, that is how you just open it and keep it with you on your mobile or laptop, wherever you are sharing. Just don't move any document, otherwise the hyperlinks will not work. That's only. Otherwise you can see the documents itself also. You don't have to open PPT all the time to view the documents. So okay, I think I just stop sharing now, and next, whoever wants to share.
Thank you, Deepti. And Rati ma'am, I wish if you could share the Kamrin's PPT.
Yeah, I'll just put it on right now.
Kamrin, are you ready? पंद्रह मिनट हो गए क्लास भैया हम जा रहे हैं देखो और दूर जाना है और क्या करना है
Hello, am I audible?
Can you all see the screen? Yes, Kamrin, again. You are audible.
Yes.
Can you see the screen?
No, I can't see anything,
I can see the screen.
Okay,
but I
maybe.
can't see the screen. No, not visible.
I'm presenting. It should be visible now.
It's not visible to me.
Maybe you have to pin me.
Okay, wait a second. Let me. Yeah, now it's visible. Oh God, I can't see anything. It's so. The text is very small. Okay, everyone. Hello, I'm Kamrin, and my topic is the Nun's Priest Tale. And I'm going to talk about the summary first and the prologue. So let's start with the prologue. After the monk has told his tale, the knight pleads to the no more tragedies be told. He asks that someone tell a tale that is opposite of tragedy, one that narrates the extreme good fortune of someone previously brought low. The host picks the nun's priest, the priest trading, traveling with the prioress and her nun, and demands that he tell a tale that will gladden the hearts of the company members. The nun priest readily agrees and begins his tale. So, in short, I have told you the prologue of the nun priest tale. Now, I'm going to talk about the nun priest, which I have made in my PPT. I have already explained in detail. You can see. So, the NPT is a tale among the tales of the Canterbury tales. The framework of the poem consists of three parts: the general prologue, the talk on the roadside, and the tales. According to the plan, the city should have had 124 stories, but it has only 20 complete and 4 incomplete ones. NPT is not an isolated tale, it belongs to a series of tales. Okay, so there are four types of it: the detective type, crime stories, ghost stories, and the science fiction. Now let's talk about. Can you change the slide? Yeah, stories and storytellers. Now there are many stories in Nun Priest's Tale. So the Nun Priest's Tale collocates a number of stories. Some of them are dream and dream stories, or stories about dreams told by the cock and the priest. The widow, the protagonist of this story, which is the setting for the comic fable of the cock and the hen and the fox, is contrasted at one with the nun by implication. The dream the dream stories are embedded in the fable in the the widow's stories in the priest. Now let's talk about the priest, the poet, and the characters in the tale. The tale itself is an adaptation from a French collection of satirical fable, Romain de Renard. What makes the tale dramatic is the author does not say a single word directly. In the prologue to the tale, the knight, the host, and the priest talk, and the main body, the priest, the storyteller, and the characters of the tale talk. The three human characters, the prioress, the priest, and the widow of the tale, are all creatures of imagination and belongs to the background of the tale on which the foreground is occupied by the animal characters. He is later identified as Sir John by the host in the prologue of NPT. The host requests him to tell a merry tale. His physical features are described by the host in the epilogue. Now let's talk about the ironic structure, sympathy, and detachment. Now, the ironic structure of NPT is prominent in the play of wit at the core of the story. The fox and the cock outwit each other by turns. Consider lines 639 to 48, which shows how the cock saves himself from a tragic end by befooling the fox. The fox has flattered, hooked, and trapped him. His clever trick would not have worked if the fox had seen his hidden meaning. Discretion and politeness, characteristics of the priest, require that his criticism of the prioress, his immediate target, and of women in general should be indirect or ironical. When we consider the narrative structure of the tale, we notice that digressions are more interesting than the central story. The discussion about it, and the character of Berthelot are all introduced for the purpose, among other things, of dramatizing and reflecting on the age-old war of the sexes. Now let's talk about the aspects of the complex form. There are four types: sermon, reflection, mock heroic, and comedy. Can you zoom it a little bit?
Uh,
Because I can't see it. It's so small.
Actually, I can't do that because your
We should
screen,
have such kind of
um,
option to. Okay,
be-
anyways.
because it's a PPT file. No, if it was
Yeah, yeah.
else, it
It's
could have
okay.
been.
It's okay. It's okay. So let's start with number one. As the storyteller is a priest, the story is aptly a sermon. The moral of the sermon is given at the end of the story. It is dramatic rather than didactic or hortatory. There are three morals drawn respectively by the cock, the fox, and the priest. The cock's experience, which had verged on the tragic, had by a lucky flash of intelligence turned comic. And his moral is one should keep one's eye open. Now, number two, reflection. The description of the human setting of the fable is reflective or normative. The widow and her way of living is approved. The cock's reflection on murder and God's justice. In line number 284 to 91 is conventional, but his women, line 397 to 400, is much more characteristic and highly ironical. Now, number three, mock heroic. NPT is primarily a fable, and a fable is intrinsically mock heroic, for it assumes an identity of parallelism between animals and humans. Chanticleer, the mockery of a hero, is presented in line 84 to 98, which describes his voice and appearance. The comic exaggeration and the conventional humanization are remarkable. Now, number four, comedy. Comedy is the essential aspect of the form of the tale. It is not mere sugarcoating for the sermon. The comedy of the plot lies in the mingling of satire with sympathy and in the play of wit. Now, the next one is the dream and the dream stories. There are a lot of dream, you have to read it. So, let's talk number one, the dream. Fiction is like dream or daydream. In Middle English poetry, the dream is used as a poetic technique and suggests vision or imagination. Dreams have always exercised the human mind. The medieval interpretation were allegorical and analogical. Chaucer added the dream of Chanticleer to the traditional story. The conflicting interpretation by the hen and the cock are highly dramatic. More than one third of the tale is occupied by his digression or secondary plot. Now, number two, dream stories. Berthelot dismisses dreams as meaningless. She took the scientific but unimaginative stand that they are caused by physical disorder. She prescribes laxatives and herbs as a remedy for bad dreams. She does not tell any story, but Chanticleer tells many stories to prove the truth of his view that dreams are significant. They provide a vision of the future. Stories are like dreams, both reflect experience. Chanticleer is a dreamer and a storyteller. Berthelot's pragmatism yield no room to such function of behavior. Number three is the moral. No man should be too reachless of dream, and some dreams to be dreaded. Realism was Chaucer's forte, which makes him the father of the modern poetry. Now the debates on the dream. The debate serves two artistic purposes. It presents A. The contemporary theories on the subject, and B. The characters of the cock and the hen, man and wife. The scientific point of view is contrasted with the superstitious or popular point of view. Both seems to be half true, and Chaucer perhaps never made up his mind on this topic. However, the debate gives the presentation of the theories a human and dramatic context. This is distinctively poetic and contrasts with the abstract manner of philosophy. Now, let's talk about some major themes of the day. Number one, the simple life and the plain diet, the Christian or religious attitude to poverty and wealth or ostentation. Number two, medio-scientific views of dreams contrasted with the popular superstitious view. Number three, reflection on murder or homicide. Number four, man-women relationship. Number five, free will and predetermination. Number six, reflection on flattery and the role of courtiers. Number seven, rhetoric, Geoffrey de Winshaw theory. Number eight, fortune, sudden turns. Now we are going to talk about the tale. The first to third of the tale present an idyllic and romantic atmosphere. It is like paradise before it was lost. The pace of the story is leisurely. The characters are introduced, but first the widow who led a simple life, then the cock Chanticleer, the protagonist, and his hen. The two dreams stories are taken from Cicero, the great Latin prose writer, and Dionysius Cato on dream. Macrobius' commentary on the dream of Cyprian are referred to the dreams of Saint Cannibal, Scipion Africanus, Daniel, and Joseph of the Old Testament are mentioned in support of his view by the pedantic cock. All this reflects Chaucer's interest in the contemporary of dreams interpretation. Chaucer's allusion of the poetic, mythological, and philosophical traditions of Europe show that he is most European and English poet. Now let's talk about this speech, and it is a dramatic tale, the debate on which the play of wit between the hero Chanticleer and the villain Paul Fox. The action here is more verbal than the reflection of the priest, the dramatic storyteller, and are all verbal action. The non-verbal action of two types here. The dream of physic event, hardly action. The only physical action is the fox seizing the cock by the neck and running to the forest. The action on the part of the hero, apart from his interpretation of dreams, including his own, is wooing dalliance and enjoyment. See line number 391 to 437 and play of wit in resolving a crisis. And more you can read on it. Let's get to the poetic technique and description. Can you switch, please? Yes, thank you. Now, Chaucer's poetic technique is more remarkable for irony, satire, realism than for rhetoric and romance. He juxtaposed the plain style with the high style in the tale, creating an ironic effect. Chau- Chaucer's narrative art combines description, reflection, and narration in an aesthetic complexion. The narrative has all the qualities that a good narrative requires. Now let's talk description. Description is a poetic at place. Example, the description of Chanticleer's voice and appearance. It is not always so poetic. It is matter of fact in tone. More frequently, the use of poetic devices like the simile and rhetorical devices like exclamation, exclamations, I guess यही लिखा है, may be noticed for particular consideration. Now there is the last part of the PPT, which is critical perspective of the nun's priest tale. I hope you can read this, and for more detailed line to line analysis, you can go through my notes, which I have already shared in the group. That's it from my side. I hope you like it. Anyone, Ritu?